Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing, Nate? How you doing, Latonia?
Hey, Larry. Welcome back, everybody. Just giving a couple minutes for people to trickle in. All right. Wow, my computer is lagging pretty bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
All right. My computer's down to like 2%, so it looks like it's trying to do power save throttling. Welcome back, everybody. Before we get started, wanted to go around and do stand up really quick and see if there are any questions from yesterday. I know we all got to the source tree part and we were kind of hitting our heads, at least I was hitting my head on some stuff with source tree. So if you have questions about source tree, save that. We're going to come back to that today. But other questions about yesterday, thoughts, feedback, things that made sense, maybe didn't make sense.
Nate, I have a question.
Yep.
And it's just actually pertaining to like when the class is getting recorded. Because I tried to find the link last night because I was going to kind of like just, review what we were talking about.
Sure.
But I didn't see it posted. Do you post the link like how Max does, or are you not able to do that?
Max updated the outline with it. So if you go and look for the outline for yesterday, there should be a link to the YouTube video on that. Which
Okay, it might not have just been posted as of yet then maybe because when I had looked at it, I didn't see one posted. That was the only question though, dear. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for reminding me. I do have an outline and I'm posting it in chat today. I do have an outline for today for what we're going to cover. So that is in Zoom chat. Anybody else?
I like the part when you brought up like capacity as being one of the parts of DevOps. I maybe think back to the Super Bowl when Coinbase had the commercial with a colorful QR code bounced across the screen. And I guess everybody jumped up the same time I did. And when I tried to sign up, it kept saying, something went wrong, try later. So I don't think that they thought that, maybe they thought they had enough capacity, they didn't.
It was interesting for SoFi, at least in my experience, was that, we had all of these algorithms and auto scaling intelligent algorithms that told us what it thought the capacity needed to be in order to handle all the traffic for the Super Bowl ad that SoFi ran. It was all. We just basically had to shovel money. I mean, spin up all kinds of servers in order to handle the demand. Nothing that it was predicting came even close to the traffic that we saw. Pretty amazing though when you get that much traffic, that many thousands, hundreds of thousands of connections per second, and you're not falling over. It's pretty intense moment. Other folks, thoughts from yesterday? Did anybody have a eureka moment for their capstone? Had some people giving good ideas yesterday. I wonder if anybody thought of any ideas since then?
I did. I already kind of like during office hours told everybody, but my capstone is gonna be for youth, and basically it's gonna be something like different resources and things that they can go to, therapists, like different like places for like homeless youth. I haven't really figured out exactly what I want to do, but I do know a couple places where I'm going to call and get information. But it's just going to be like an app where if something happens, they can reach out to a therapist. If they needed any type of supplies, they would know where to get them. Things like that.
That's information based. That sounds pretty cool.
I have a question.
last week we went and we looked at domain names. So I know that that's something that we're going to be doing with you. So I'm kind of so I bought one because it was my name, my name. So I paid for it last week because Max was like, it'll still be there in however many days. But you know, when you see something and it's exactly what you want, it's like you just wanna. So when are we gonna I guess which one of these days is that going to be what we're gonna be doing?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Did you buy it on Namecheap?
No, I think it was Google.
That's probably why Max wanted you to wait, is because depending on where you buy it, it's going to have a different interface for, you know, all the knobs that you could tweak with your domain.
Mhm.
And I'm going to encourage the class when we get to it to buy it through Namecheap, because I'm going to cover how to use Namecheap, because I use Namecheap. If you bought yours already, we'll just have to figure out how to get yours to work on Google.
He said we needed more than one, so
Okay.
I'm open to another one, especially if I can get what I want. So I'm not he did say wait, and I saw it and I was like, oh, it's only $12 for a year. So I didn't really think that big of a deal, you know, because at this point, like you said, we don't know what kind of so you know, you got your portfolio, then people say they change it. So you got your project. So I'm
Yeah.
and
I mean, if you
some people had domain names before, even before now. So I know that wasn't, but he did say something about WordPress, and I think there was something else about the blog with WordPress. I remember hearing something about the blog with WordPress. So,
oh, I don't know if anybody's going to talk about WordPress in this cohort, but we'll definitely talk more about deploys by the end of, even potentially by the end of today. We may be doing deploys. We'll see, but at least tomorrow I was planning on talking about domain names.
okay.
And then on Thursday, depending on what we have left, Thursday, kind of hoping to share some cool stuff in the terminal. I know that you guys have been using your terminals for a little bit of things here and there, but hoping to reserve Thursday for cool terminal stuff. And also, if we haven't finished wrapping up anything on the deploys, doing that on Thursday.
Oh, the terminal where you had us put the GIT in there? Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Does doing that download anything else? Because when I opened up my computer today, a prompt came up and said Node wants to have access to, I don't remember if it said to your desktop or your keychain or something. And I don't remember installing Node. Does that happen?
Yeah, I don't think Xcode gives you Node. I'm not sure. Maybe source tree installed Node, something installed Node. But yeah, I mean, you'll be using Node later. So if you want to allow Node to have access to those files, it would be, that's up to you. And it also,
get rid of it.
Oh, I don't think you want to get rid of it, because, you know, later on Node is going to be the backend language that you're going to use for later on in the cohort.
I'm saying I'm going to keep it because I don't know how to. I wouldn't even know how to get rid of it.
I have a question for Latonia if we have a second. So I was talking to my niece today, and she was telling me that I guess the internship at Center State is something that's posted with an application or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually left Center State when I went to Project Underdog. So I'm not sure what they're up to lately. I know they sent out an email probably within like the last month or two, because they're working on an apprenticeship. The person that you probably need is, I can't think of her name right now.
Liza. And it's an apprenticeship. It's an apprenticeship similar to ours, but I think they help you get credits towards a degree. I'm not sure.
In
But
conjunction with Lemoyne, right?
yeah, and it would be perfect for your niece actually.
Then my niece is already going to Lemoyne.
Yeah, but it's
So
just a
the apprenticeship is something different. I didn't know if anyone knew or if anybody was interested or if anybody knew anything about it.
You know
Yeah,
who
I
might
can
know? Oh, go ahead.
I can send you over the flyer if you want it.
It was just a flyer that came and then they just told you to respond to the flyer.
Mhm.
Oh, I already did. I did that, but I was thinking that there was more something, maybe something more came out or if anybody knew anything about it. So that's all.
You can also talk to the career coach, Laura.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
she knows them. I actually got my job at Center State CEO because like she just kind of put me in touch with people. So even if you follow that process, just reach out to Laura and tell her
Okay.
you're interested. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else want to share? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and jump into the material today. Okay. Let me get my slides pulled up. And I will post a link to these in the chat if you want to follow along there.
Can you put one in the live chat so I can look back at it later?
I'll put them in there, Nate.
Thank you. Okay. So let me get down to, okay. So yesterday we spent a little bit of time talking about source tree. I made an executive decision last night to not use source tree going forward. Instead, we're going to use GitHub Desktop. So if you got source tree working yesterday, then congratulations. If you didn't, then no big deal, because we're gonna just uninstall it. So if you do have source tree installed, the easiest way to get rid of it is to just go into Finder, into your applications. If you have a computer that's not super slow like mine, here we go. All right, go down to where source tree is at. Just right click on it and move it to trash. So we're not going to use source tree. Okay. Instead, what we're going to use is GitHub Desktop, just similar to source tree, except GitHub Desktop kind of works exclusively with GitHub, which in our case is great because we're using GitHub. Source tree would work with Atlassian, with Bitbucket and GitHub and GitLab and a number of other things, but we don't really need that functionality. So we're just going to use GitHub Desktop. So here's the link, and I will also post this in the Zoom chat.
Oh wait, so we are using GitHub
We-
desktop?
Yes, we're going to use GitHub Desktop. Yep.
Oh, I downloaded it yesterday, but then I deleted it because you said we weren't going to use it.
Yeah, I apologize. I did some thinking after class yesterday, and just it's going to be a lot easier to use GitHub Desktop instead of the source tree. And then I don't know in the class, I don't know what kind of Macs you guys have. Are you guys using the Apple Silicon Macs or are you using Intel based Macs? Anybody know?
Silicon. Yeah, M1 chips.
Okay, so there's a little link down below right here for the Silicon version of GitHub Desktop. I'm gonna just download the regular version because I've got an old MacBook. But if you have an M1 Mac, grab the link down here for this Apple Silicon Mac.
Where would we go to like make sure that was right? Like in our computer?
To find out if you have an M1, I think you would go up to the top left. Well, I'll bet you have an M1. If everybody else has an M1, then you probably got one.
Okay.
Hey Nate, I don't know if it's just me, but I know you talked about the lag, but then like there's like you seem to like drift off your sound. So I don't know. Are you is he consistent for everybody else?
A
No,
little choppy at times.
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I apologize. My Mac got too low on power, so it's kind of throttling right now. I can close some stuff on my end to try to fix that. Let me see. Also gonna turn off my video. Does that make any of this better?
It seems like it, but we'll have to do a little bit to see.
Okay.
But we want to see you. Can you do
Yeah.
something else?
I don't know. I don't really know how to get my Mac to charge up. You can see up here, I'm at 5% now. It's
Oh,
slowly
you can't
going up.
plug. Oh, okay. All right, I'll shut up.
Okay. Well, if it gets too bad, just let me know. And we can take a quick break and I can get my computer to charge up. All right. So everybody should have the GitHub desktop downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and start installing mine. Okay. Grab that, drag it into applications. And now from applications, I'm going to go down to GitHub desktop, open it up. Click open. Okay, let's try that again. GitHub desktop. All right. It's like I can't even open an application on my computer. Yeah. All right. This is gonna not work. All right. Let's call an audible real quick here, and let me stop sharing my screen. Let's go ahead and front load our break. So let's go ahead and take that 20-minute break now, just so I can give my computer a chance to catch up so it stops doing this power throttling nonsense. Does that sound good with everybody?
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Like at 6:13 on this end, Nate.
Yeah, let's do 6:20, just to make it an even number and give me enough time to catch back up.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll be
Go.
back.
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
Yeah, so I missed yesterday. Right now I am basically just downloading GitHub desktop.
Yep.
So for my timer right now, it says 4 hours and 37 minutes. Feel like it should download faster than that, but you know, it's never done that before. So
Yeah, maybe you need to restart your laptop too during this break. That sounds like a insane amount of time.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, give it a
well,
restart and we'll see you after the break.
Remember,
Alright.
it
Corey, that happened to
started
everyone
yesterday.
yesterday, and it's
Yeah,
gonna.
you just gotta wait a few
Just
minutes.
let it do its thing, because everybody did that yesterday, and then it ended up
Yeah.
changing. So I don't think.
Did you have to wait? So you didn't have to wait 5 hours or?
No, we all did
No.
it. We all did this yesterday, and everyone, a few of us had said the same thing, and then it ended up changing to a shorter time, so it should download.
Yeah. All right. See what it does.
All right, we'll be back after the break, guys. Latonia, do you mind if I make you host?
Not at all.
Don't forget to stop recording.
I think they left.
Yeah, I'm guessing that if you have one of the M1 Macs and you went to About This Mac, you would not see this. You would not see Intel in the processor. You would see some kind of M1 Mac deal.
Are you talking about the instructions I put in?
No, I was just thinking about somebody. I think Nicole was asking for how you would find out.
Okay, I tried to put it in the live share, so hopefully it's helpful.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that all the laptops were bought around the same time. So if one of you has an M1, I'm sure everybody has one too.
Yeah, mine is M1, so
Cool. Okay. So where we left off and where my computer was absolutely struggling was to open up GitHub Desktop after I downloaded it. So once you open up GitHub Desktop, you should see a screen that's asking you to link your account and sign in with your GitHub account. This is the screen that you see after that. So sign in with your GitHub account and then let me know when you see this screen.
I see that screen.
I see that screen.
Okay, great. See, isn't that so much easier than source tree? Oh my gosh, source tree, we were having to figure out all that stuff. One click and it just works with GitHub Desktop. We're logged in.
Do you want to change our email or do we just go with like the default one? Because it was kind of a weird email address.
Same question here.
Use whatever email address you use for GitHub.
So not the one that they put in by default.
Can you share your screen? Because I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, that's strange. Use my GitHub account and email address name. Yeah, definitely put your email in there. I don't know what that no reply. Cool.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks.
that's strange.
You had something similar, Zach?
Yeah, my default one was really weird. Do you know if we can change it if we put it in the wrong email address?
Good question. Let's see. So I think if you go to preferences, there's a sign out right here. So I'll do the same thing. You can click sign out under this accounts and then sign back in. Hopefully that works for you. All good, Zach?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. So so what you should see over here is something similar to what we had in SourceTree yesterday, where you could see all of the repos that you currently have on GitHub. I have a whole bunch on here, but what we're trying to find is our github.io, our portfolio repo. So put that into the filter, and then we're going to click on the clone a repository from the internet. And in this filter box, again, we're going to put our .github.io, so whatever our username.github.io is. And then you'll see down in the bottom where it's going to go and put that repo. You can leave this as it is, or if you've got a special place that you want your you want the repo to be cloned down to, you can choose that. Personally, I think it makes sense to just leave it as is, so document/GitHub, but it's up to you.
Mine doesn't say .io. Mine doesn't have the, where yours has the GitHub / and then the name. Should I add that?
Let me stop sharing and let you share your screen.
Okay.
After which you should just click clone.
Yep, afterwards we should just, so Christy, click up there where it says .github.io. Click on that, yep. Then hit clone.
So hit clone, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I'll hit clone on mine too. Okay. So this is GitHub Desktop. This is how we're going to be using Git for the rest of this week.
Should we, I have a question. Should we delete the clone that we made yesterday?
The source tree clone that you made yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And if I just delete the in the folder that's holding it, it'll get rid of everything.
Yes. So the source of truth is on GitHub. So you won't lose anything. It's all backed up on GitHub. Yep. So delete whatever the source tree clone was. Yep. Okay. So if you see, if you're on this page, what you should see is something similar to this, where you have a button that says Open in Visual Studio Code, assuming you have VS Code installed. I'm pretty sure everyone does. Show in Finder, so you could open up a window, a Finder window. If I click that, it takes me to the folder that my code is in. And then the last button will take me to GitHub. So if I want to see the code as it exists on GitHub, I could do that here. So this is kind of your launching spot for working with your code. So the workflow now, when you're in the next couple of classes, when you're working on your capstone or your portfolio, is come in here, open up GitHub Desktop, start by opening up GitHub Desktop, and then using any of these buttons, open up your code through GitHub Desktop. Okay, so clicking Open in Visual Studio Code, it's going to open up a window that has my code right there, so I can work on whatever. Okay. Question so far? Anybody having problems getting to the screen?
Now you have us back to a space that looks familiar to us.
Good. Good.
Hey, Nate, can you just say the workflow you want them to do again, real quick?
Yeah, workflow is you want to work on code, open up GitHub Desktop, select whatever the repository is that you want to work on. Right now, we're working on our portfolio, so that's what we have selected up here in the top left. And then open up in Visual Studio Code. So we're going to use GitHub Desktop to get our to open our VS Code windows. Okay.
I have a question too. Can I share my screen when you guys are done?
Yep.
Okay.
All yours.
Thank you. So when I'm here, it doesn't, I'm not getting to those because remember mine was already set up. So I'm not
Oh,
seeing what you guys are seeing, but I don't think I'm completely set up yet.
okay. So open up the app, GitHub desktop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Up in the top left, change the repository from you're on your capstone now. Okay. So click on the add button
Mm-hmm.
and then clone repository. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then start, there it is down at the very bottom.
So you remember
before-
that? I
Yep.
changed it to I thought I changed it to the dot. You see here, I might have
Mhm.
changed the wrong thing, but it's not changed up here. How do I change
Yeah.
this one?
Let's real quick. Let's fix that. So go to the settings tab.
Settings. Oh,
On this page. Nope. Right here in the middle. Let me see if I can annotate.
thank you. Oh, here.
Yep.
Got it.
Exactly. Yep. Scroll all the way to the bottom.
So not here.
Oh, I didn't know you could rename right there. Yeah, totally. Just rename it.
And then let me.
Sorry, folks, yesterday that did the whole delete and recreate with me. I didn't realize that it was that simple. Okay. So, yep, now let's go back to GitHub desktop.
Mm-hmm. Let me back
Um,
out of it. So maybe it'll pull it up now.
There's
Oh,
also that refresh icon right here. Yeah.
okay. So choose that. Oh, you
Perfect.
know
Yep.
what? It's still pulling in capstone first. Should I delete it or?
Just to make things easy, click choose.
Okay.
And let's put it somewhere else because yeah, it's gonna get complicated if it's in capstone. Click that arrow to the right.
So I have so many different folders, so excuse all of my mess in here.
Do you want to put it in on the Shantina? Yep. Do you want to put it there? Does that work for you?
I'm not going to always. Yeah. Okay. And then the correct one is chosen, and then go ahead and hit clone.
Yep. Excellent.
Okay.
Great. You're all caught up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, stop share.
Anybody else? We all at the same page. We should be looking at GitHub desktop, and then we should have VS Code open. Your code obviously is going to look different than mine.
It's time for me.
Okay. So if we want to add files, so nobody needs to do this right now. I'm just going to drive for a minute. If we want to add files, like right now, you could see over here, I've got an index.html and a README. So I don't have any CSS on my portfolio website. So if we want to add a file, what we could do in VS Code is click the new file, make a styles.css. And I just want, let's make the whole font Arial. Okay. If I go back to GitHub desktop, notice what it's done. GitHub desktop has detected that there are changes in this folder. So this this repo that we've cloned down, this folder that's on our computer is special. It's being watched by Git. It's being tracked by Git. And it's detected that there's this file that's been added. So what we want to do is take the changes that we make and push them up to GitHub. So to do that, it looks similar to what we were doing yesterday in SourceTree, where we were making commits and pushing them up. But the box is down here in the bottom left. So down here is where you would enter in a message describing what the changes are that you have made. So right now it says create styles.css. That's a pretty good commit message because I did just create a style. Let me blow this up a little bit so you guys can see this better. Added a CSS file. Okay. And then this commit to main, that's going to save my changes. So I'll click that. And you see that there's this big old blue message right here that says that I have a local commit waiting to be pushed to GitHub. So what that means is that I've packaged the changes on my computer and now I need to send them up to GitHub. If I go and look at GitHub, so I'm going to click on this right here. If I go and view my repo on GitHub, notice how I don't have a styles.css up here. And that's because I haven't pushed it up to GitHub yet. So if I go back to GitHub desktop, that's what this message is telling me. I have saved and made a commit on my computer, but I haven't pushed those changes up to GitHub. So if I click this push origin, see up here in the top right, it's going to compute some things. It's going to send the data over the wire. And now if I go back to GitHub and refresh, you can see that my styles.css is now up here on GitHub. So that's how you would add a file using GitHub Desktop. Any questions? Is that pretty straightforward? And it's all going to happen automatically. So I can go over here and I can add more files. I can maybe add another. I can maybe add a folder called images, and inside of it, maybe I want to. Let's open this. Oops. Images. So let me grab an image from Finder. So I'll drag a screenshot into here. Okay. So I just added an image. And if we come over here, you'll see that GitHub Desktop has noticed that I've added a new folder and added a new file. So it's going to push that up to GitHub. If I say down here and add a message saying added a new image and image folder. Click the commit to main and then push to origin. Okay, and if we go up to GitHub, we will see, yep, there's an images folder and inside of it is our image. Okay. So what does that mean for working on our code? So the flow looks similar to what I've just shown, where we would go into GitHub Desktop, open up Visual Studio Code, and let's say we wanted to add a div and say something like my GitHub link is, and then make a link to our GitHub page. Okay, so I'm just adding a link to my GitHub page in my HTML, hitting save. If I go back to GitHub Desktop, notice that GitHub Desktop has detected that I've added some new text. I could do some more stuff. I can shuffle things around. Maybe I can put my GitHub link there. Maybe I can give my HTML title. And you'll notice that GitHub Desktop is just going to keep refreshing. It's just going to keep noticing any of the changes that I make in that folder. Okay.
So you don't have to hit like push origin after like every change you make or every time you save it, it just does it automatically.
Good question. So pushing to origin, remember that we can make these commits all day long down here. So I've got these changes and now I'm going to make a commit and say, somebody tell me, describe what would be a good commit message here. What kind of changes did I just make?
Added a link.
Added a link. It's a good message. Okay, I'll hit commit to main. All right, so notice this blue message. To answer your question, notice this blue message. It says you have one local commit waiting to be pushed to GitHub. I have one commit and it's still sitting on my computer. So think of it kind of like having hit save on my computer. I can go back and let's say we want to move this link down below the P. Hit save. Okay, notice that GitHub desktop, notice the change where I moved. So the P is no longer there. It's been moved up to line 8. A good commit message would be shuffling the hello world around. Hit commit. All right, now we have 2 commits stacked up on our computer. Until I hit the push origin, until I push these commits, they're just going to live on my computer, which means if I spill a 16-ounce Gatorade on my laptop, we've just lost all of that data. It's not on GitHub. So to answer your question, you will want to commit and push, usually in tandem. There's really never a good situation for making a bunch of commits and then pushing. You typically want to commit, push, commit, push, commit, push. Yeah, I can't really think of a situation where, unless you were on like a 3G hotspot and, you had to pay for every gigabyte or something and you just wanted to be super efficient for some reason. But think of commits as being similar to saving on your computer, and then pushing is where you take what's on your computer and you push it up to the cloud, push it up to GitHub. So I'm going to click push origin, and it's going to sync what's on my laptop with GitHub. So if I go view on GitHub, we could see that the shuffling the hello world around, the last message is here, and my changes are all synced up. And just as a quick side note, because we're starting to throw the word commit around a lot, I just want to click on this commits right here, and you can see these are all of the different changes that we just made using GitHub Desktop, and we can explore each of these commits by clicking into them. So this added a link. We can click into this and we could see, yep, this was where we went and we added a link to our website. This may not seem, feel free, folks, to chime in and give their opinion here. This may seem like it's kind of tedious. Why are we saving and pushing our stuff to the cloud? Why are we being this pedantic about the code that we write? And the reason is because as we start to write more complex things, there's going to be moments where you write some code and you're like, holy crap, I didn't mean to move that link, or I didn't mean to change my index.html, and I want to know what it was that I had before. By doing these commits, by pushing and saving your progress on GitHub, you're going to have this long transaction record of all the changes you've made to your code that you're going to be able to go back and look and reference and save yourself in the future.
And Nate, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let's hear your promise.
My last promise is I promise this will become infinitely more useful as your code starts to become more complex and you start to have more complexity in your code base. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you ever lose code, you'll be like, yeah, I want to commit more often. I wanted to ask you, could you just give us some pointers around how often we should commit? Like, if you have a couple different files you're working on, do you recommend we commit and push those at the same time? Or should we break them out and do your CSS separate from the other one? Or
there's lots of opinions, and it's all social. This is a social activity, pushing things to Git, and eventually what you're going to see is Git is used to collaborate with other people. As programmers, we'll share these links with other people so other people can see the code that we're writing. And so one of the things Latonia was just mentioning was, does it make sense to bundle your changes, to logically group certain kinds of changes into commits? So creating files and then making a commit. Versus creating files and changing code all within the same commit. And my answer is, at this stage, don't worry about it. Do some work, and then when you need to go and put a kid down for bed, or grab a drink, or just even get up and stretch or grab a bite to eat or something like that. Just get into the muscle memory of commit and push. That's it. For now. But Latonia, you're definitely hitting on some of the more advanced stuff that we will get into for making these commits a little bit easier to understand and read later. Other questions? Throwing a lot out.
Christy has her hand up.
So yeah, I like this, but because how we've learned prior to now was we were following along with Max, and so a lot of times we would get lost, and then there was times where we got Max to write comments in the code, and there's probably some comments in some of these. So this is better. Plus, when you're walking away, because I have been working on stuff, for class, and then walked away, and then when you come back, you gotta like compare, like I'm finding that I gotta compare my code to Max's code because I don't remember where I left off, and something's not doing what it's supposed to do. So I do like, it just does seem like it's like we're changing directions, but it's for the good, but it does seem a little bit overwhelming. So
sure, yep, I understand. So what I want to do is I want to do some practical exercises to try to build up that muscle memory, because this is a muscle that you have to flex and you have to practice, and I don't want it to become overwhelming. All right, so let's get back to the slide so I don't lose my train of thought. On that vein, I'm just going to quickly kind of reiterate some of the questions that or answers that I've already given. But commit and push your code often. Don't worry about how much to put into a commit. Make as many changes as you feel appropriate, and just hit that commit and push whenever you think. All right. So I've got a fun exercise that I want us all to do. And what I've done is, if I could grab the link to everyone's GitHub repos. Okay. Shantina, I think we fixed this, right? So this is now Shantina dot. Yeah. So let me update this really quick.
Thank you. I couldn't do it yesterday.
Just make sure that link's not broken. Looks great. Okay. So I have taken everybody's GitHub link and bear with me for 1 second. I have written a little program that is going to go through everyone's repo, and it's going to look in your repo to try to find a word. And what I want everyone to do is I want everyone to put a specific word in their index.html. And I want everyone to do this as a means of practicing and getting in the muscle memory of pushing, of making commits. So the secret word that I want, let me go ahead and start out my program. All right, so this program is going to sit here and check everyone's repo. Oops, let me restart this. Okay, check everyone's repo for the secret word. The secret word is strawberry. So if I can ask everyone on the call right now, please go into your portfolio website, your index.html, and update your index.html to contain the word strawberry. I'm going to go ahead and do that on mine. And I'll leave this up so we can see folks as folks get theirs. So I'm going to add the word to mine. So I'm going to go and open up my repo in Visual Studio. And I'm just going to make a tag at the bottom and put in strawberry right here. Okay. And then I'm going to commit, add my secret word, commit, and push. There we go. So the program has found strawberry on my index.html. So I'm good. Anybody having problems adding the
Yeah.
secret word to there? Go ahead.
I was unable to push it. It said, cannot push these commits that contain an email address marked as private on GitHub. To push anyway, visit github.com/settings/emails and uncheck keep my address private.
Oh, okay. That's why I was popping that relay email address into the box. So Zach, were you the same way? Did you set up yours to keep your email private?
Yeah, I set it to my normal email. I submitted it and it didn't give me an error message, but it's not showing up as appearing in your search.
Okay. I don't know exactly how to get GitHub Desktop to work with. I think what you probably wanted to do was to sign back out and then use that email address that it had provided.
You can go to preferences and try that. Go to GitHub Desktop, then preferences, then get. And then in that get that's on the side, you should have a drop down for your email and see if that, change it and see if that works.
I found it. Thank you.
So after you switch it, is it going to let you do a push?
Yeah, I switched it. It's still giving me that message.
Do you mind sharing your screen? Let me stop here. Cannot push these commits, keep uncheck. Yeah, then switch back to push your commits. Yeah, so the commits were probably made using the old email. So hit close and then go back to click on the history. See the history tab next to changes up at the top. Yep. And let's okay. We have those commits already created with your old email. And what we need to do is to recreate those commits to get rid of them. So if you right click on the commit, right click on it and click undo commit. And then go back to history. Right click that one, yep, and hit undo as well. Yep. Go ahead and hit continue. Okay. Now try making the commit. So go back down to changes. Yep. Yep. And now try pushing. Boom. Nice. Also, brilliant putting it in as an HTML comment.
Thank you.
Much better than what I did, which is put random strawberry on my website. Okay, I'm gonna rerun the program. Let's see, where's everybody at? We got a lot of people that have pushed up Strawberry. That looks good. Oh, Zach, do you want to share your screen and we can rebuild those commits and get you all set?
Is it showing that I have Strawberry in my code?
It's showing that you don't have Strawberry in your code yet. It might, could be my program's not great. Go look. Let's try this again. You push the commit. Oh yeah, Strawberry, there it is.
Nice.
So what's wrong with my program?
Will mine be thrown off because I have .git at the end, but now it doesn't have .git at the end of it anymore, or should it still be connecting?
.git at the end. It should be connecting. Are you able to push? I think you muted yourself.
Sorry. I thought I pushed and committed and pushed. But I don't know. Like, is it okay if I share?
Yes, please. Please do.
Okay. When I go here, or
Zach, I figured it out.
Oh.
Strawberry has to be in the index.html. And you put it in the feedback.html. So if you, yep, just like you've got Chantina. So you put Strawberry in the index.html.
Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, go back to Git, to the GitHub desktop.
Back here. And well, it was here. I honestly don't. Well, I already pushed it. That's why it's grayed out or whatever now, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So,
history should show me, right?
Yep, it should.
Oh, well then no. So what did I, initial commit? No?
So you've got initial commit, you've got a README, you've created the index.html. You can click next and get rid of that. Next, yep, got it. Cool. Yeah, so you pushed an index.html. I see H1 Strawberry in it. That looks great.
Okay, because it didn't recognize it on your end. So I'm not sure if it was because this now says just the github.io, but when I previously did it, it had .git as the last thing.
I see. So it's probably a bug on my end. Yep.
It was
change
you copied what I had. I didn't get a chance to fix it, so that was my mistake.
Yep.
Okay.
And now it's finding it. Perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Nate,
Hey.
is it possible for you to do another demo of the steps?
Yes, totally. In fact, we're going to change the secret word from Strawberry to something different. So give everybody a chance to make another commit and push. It looks like a lot of people were able to push. Again, the exercise here is to update the index.html. My program isn't super smart, so it doesn't know if you have a feedback.html or a contact.html. So, so please put the secret word in your index.html. Okay. So
Nate, I'm sorry, Nate. Just to clarify, that's in their portfolio repo, the HTML file in their portfolio repo. Okay.
Yes. So you should be looking at your portfolio repo. So up here in the top left, it should say your username.github.io. And then you should open with Visual Studio Code, find your index.html, and add the secret word in your index.html. Okay, the secret word is pineapple. So please make a commit and push up the text pineapple to your index.html. So for anybody following along with me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code. I'm going to go to my index.html, just find some place on my page to put the word pineapple. And then I'm going to go back to GitHub desktop. It's detected a change. So I'm going to make a commit from this change. It's noticed that I've changed it from strawberry to pineapple. gonna add a commit message, updated the secret word from strawberry to pineapple. Gonna hit commit. And then push origin. Oh, we got a lot of people quick. Nice. Very nice.
This is Danielle. Is it? I can't see if it's finding mines or not.
Danielle, is your username the it's my
Very
winning season?
Never mind. I see it now. It's just, I guess my Zoom was in the way. Never mind.
Very nice. That's you, right? It's my winning season.
Yep. Thank you.
I would had to step away for a second, but I'm way back behind. That's probably why mine is not gonna say not found.
Okay.
I missed a couple steps.
I'm not sure why mine's is saying not found, but I submitted the commit and that's all I know the logs.
Oh, okay. I could have gotten something wrong on my end. Let's take a look.
I'm behind with my GitHub desktop downloading. It's still giving me an error after restarting the computer. So with this lecture, I was just going to try to follow up with this one and then yesterday's later tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you at least know why my name wasn't popping up, but I am following along though.
Okay, cool. Added new secret word. Let's see, pineapple. Oh, typo on pineapple. Unless I don't know how to spell pineapple. Does pineapple have an E? Okay. Hey, one thing while we're here, go and change your rename your repo to have 2 C's. Does that make sense?
No, where am I doing that at? Sorry.
So there should be a settings tab right here. Let me stop sharing. Why don't you share your screen?
Okay.
So go to Git, in the browser, go to GitHub.
You said in the browser itself.
Or you could do it from here. So you can go actually, yeah, let's just open the browser up. Yep, go to GitHub. Okay. Yep, this works right here. So go and click on, can you make this window a little bit bigger?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Down here where it has a link to your repo, let me grab the annotate tool. So click this right here. Click that link. Yep. And then up here, click settings. Yep. And then rename. Yep. Change. So rename it to have 2 C's at the beginning to match your username. Yep. No.
I'm okay, and now I'm mad because I didn't spell my own name correctly, which is crazy.
Not good. Perfect.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah, Nate, can I go next?
Yeah. One second though before we go. So did you get your username wrong, or is the repo name wrong?
She spelled her own username wrong.
Oh,
I think I
so
spelled my own
sorry.
username wrong, honestly, which is crazy. So I don't know what I was doing yesterday.
I'm so sorry. That's unfortunate. Yeah, they don't make it easy to redo your GitHub username. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nicole, yeah, it's all yours. Okay. You're muted.
I had stepped away for a second, but I heard you guys were pushing stuff. So I was just trying to figure out, just trying to get caught up.
So right now we're, so go into Visual Studio Code. An easy way to get to this, so go back to GitHub. You want to open up VS Code using GitHub Desktop. So yep, stay on that repo, click on the Changes tab. Yep. Sorry, 1 second. Need to, if you don't have any changes.
She has the initial strawberry in there.
In the top.
I typed that into my regular, because that's what I thought. That's when I came in when y'all was putting strawberry in. So I just typed it in my regular HTML, thinking that that's what I was doing. But
yeah, that works too. In the top on repository, in the top of the window in the Mac, see repository, click open in Visual Studio Code. Yeah, there we go. So now you've got, so the new word is pineapple. So change strawberry to pineapple.
I don't know how to spell that well, but
Yeah, I'll be honest, I had to go look at how to spell pineapple. Save. Command S, perfect. Okay, let's go back to GitHub Desktop. Let's make sure that GitHub Desktop has noticed the change. It should have. Yep, it's so notice how it's detected that it's changed to pineapple. Okay, let's make a commit. So in the bottom left, where it says, before you hit commit to main, make sure you type in a message kind of describing what the change was. Not in that box, that's the long form essay box. If you, yep, that one right there. So just something really brief. Yeah, even just the word pineapple would be perfect. Okay, commit, yep. And it's still sitting on our computer until we hit the push origin button. So go ahead and hit that. And now it will be pushed up to GitHub. And then I'll go back to share my screen and you should be all set. Yep, thank you. Yep, and you're found. Cool. So everybody looks like they're pretty much at pineapple. I don't have this updated because you changed the name, but I know you've got the commit up, so we're all good there. Strange, are you doing okay? Were you able to?
No.
Do you mind sharing your? Go ahead.
I just would rather, I mean, unless we have to, I'd rather just watch because I had to get my other screen up because of like the programs and being able to look, and I just lost a few steps. So I'm a little behind. So I'm just.
No worries.
I'm fine.
No worries. All right. So I'm going to stop that. I'm still screen sharing. Great. So that is how to make commits. So when you're working on your code, make changes, commit in GitHub Desktop and push it up. All right. Oh, and if anybody wants to get rid of their secret word, by all means, feel free to rip that out of your portfolio. So Git right now, we're kind of treating it like a backup tool, which it excels at being a backup tool. It's really good at being at backing up your code. But there's also a whole nother side to Git, which is the social aspect. You may have heard of, is anybody just using emojis or something in Zoom? Has anybody heard of a pull request before? Or merge request?
at a job, yeah.
So there's a whole nother side to GitHub where you're able to socially collaborate on code. You're able to send your commits for others to review and include in their repositories. And we're not going to really get into that until you guys see me again later on for the second part of DevOps. But just to touch on it really quick, because I think this is pretty useful. You can clone other people's code and get other people's code onto your laptop. Don't feel like you have to do this, but I'm just going to show you how to do it using Max's example portfolio. So to do that, if you want to go and grab somebody's repo, you need to know what the name of the repo is ahead of time. And I just so happen to know Max's, but you can do it for anything. So if like here's a friend of mine, she's been working on Blackjack. So if I wanted to go and clone that, I would just take the name of the repo on GitHub, and then I would come into GitHub Desktop, and up here in the repo switcher here in the top left, click on this, hit add, clone repository, and then switch from github.com. So we're not going to be looking at our repos anymore, but instead switching over to the URL tab. We can paste in whatever the repo is that we want to take from GitHub, and we can hit clone. So I'm cloning down Max's example portfolio repo. And now I can click show in Finder or open in Visual Studio Code. And now I can look at Max's, assuming my computer can catch up here. There we go.
So Nate, quick question.
Yep.
When you clone another person's repo, that doesn't actually like make changes to theirs that's on GitHub, right? It just kind of allows you to like clone it and like work on it and see what you could do with it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And let me demonstrate that. This shouldn't be a scary thing. You shouldn't feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to accidentally make changes to somebody's code. GitHub's not going to let you. So we have GitHub's, we have Max's portfolio downloaded. I'm gonna be Max. So I'm gonna find everywhere that it says Max, and it's gonna be Nathan Evans' portfolio. And I'm gonna change that. No, I'm not gonna change that. You guys get the idea. So I'm basically gonna rip off Max and his portfolio website. At this point, I could try to take over his repo. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Christy, or do you have a question?
Yeah, I want you to show us how to do that again. I want to do it. I actually want to do it this time.
You want to steal Max's code?
Yeah, so I wanted to see the you were showing the but when you after you finish telling us what you're going to do, I just wanted to be able to do that because we are using his portfolio website to help build our own. So
sure.
That would be very helpful for us as a class, I think.
Yeah. I'm all about plagiarizing. I'm all about stealing. So notice how I need to hit save. So notice how I'm blatantly ripping off Max's portfolio website by just replacing his name with mine. Down here, it's yelling at me and saying that I don't have write access to the example portfolio repo. So I don't have permissions to push to Max's repo because he owns it. So I could say, hey Max, I'm hijacking your repo. And I could hit commit to main and I could hit push. It's not going to work. It's going to pop up this box and it's going to say, do I want to fork this repository? So let me quickly explain what a fork is. Because we can't take over Max Matthews, we can't take over his example portfolio. What GitHub allows us to do is it allows us to take a copy of his repo and create a repo attached to our username and copy all of his code over. And that's called forking. It's essentially creating an exact replica of his repo, but put under your account. So we could go through and fork this repository. You don't really need to do that unless you really want to take someone else's code, make a bunch of changes, and turn it into something that's your own. I would recommend if you want to use Max's example portfolio code as a reference, just do the steps that I just showed. Come up here, go to add, clone repository, enter his his repo name, clone it, then you'll have it. Just don't make any changes to his code. Or if you do, don't try to push them up because you won't have permissions to do that.
Okay, you had his, there was a screen where we could see his repository name.
Oh yeah, it's in the slides. So if you want his repo name, it's right, it's right here. So Max Matthews / example portfolio. I'll do you one better. I'll even give you the GitHub link.
In the chat.
In the chat, yeah, 1 second.
Cool beans.
Oh, sorry, wrong person. There we go. Okay.
So,
yep.
So it's okay to fork somebody's code, like.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a button right here. In fact, I made a fork of his code a little while ago. So you could go to, yeah, so I already have a fork for this. So if we go to Deluxe example portfolio, you'll see I have forked it from Max Matthews example portfolio. So I've essentially taken his repo and I've cloned it and attached it to myself. Now I don't need to do that. You can just go and clone his repo down without forking at all. The forking part is not necessary unless you want to have an exact copy of his repo for you to make a bunch of changes and commit and push. In fact, I really don't recommend playing with forks right now at this point. I just wanted to show that forking is what forking is, and that's possible. But by all means, feel free to go to GitHub Desktop and clone down his repo and have it for reference.
If you fork or clone a repo and you make some changes and you think, hey, I'll bet they would like these changes, is there a way to like submit your changes to the original owner?
Absolutely. And that's getting into the social aspect. Most of the time, you're not going to have access to the repo that you're trying to make changes to. So you'll make a fork and then you'll pull request. So you'll make, your copy of the fork, you'll submit changes from your copy of the fork to their fork. And eventually it will flow back, assuming that those changes that you're proposing get accepted, it will flow back from that fork. But yes, long answer, yes. Forks are used as a way of submitting changes. You're exactly right.
And then Git will keep track of the differences between the code that you submitted and where their copy of the code was at. And then is it up to the author to overwrite or?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Git will detect all of those changes. Yes, 100%. And it is entirely up to the author if they want to accept your changes or not. I've written many pull requests that have never been accepted, either because of a bad code on my end or because a multitude of reasons.
And is it an all or nothing? Like, do they either accept the whole pull request or can they pick parts of it?
Yeah. That's part of, well, I could show an example of a pull request if you guys are interested. Would you guys like to see a pull request?
Yes.
Sure.
Let's see. Here's some pull requests that I've worked on. Let's see if I've got one with one of my mentees. Here we go. So these are all pull requests that one of my friends has been working on. And you can see here that we've been working on this blackjack game, and the pull request that she opened or the code that she was trying to submit, this is all the changes that she was trying to make in the code base. So she was creating some database rows, a couple new variables, a new method. So in the course of submitting those changes, I went in and had a discussion and pointed out different aspects of the code. So one of the things that GitHub lets you do is it lets you come in and create comments on code. So each of these commits that we're making with GitHub Desktop, it acts as this record that other people can come in and see and start discussions on. So this is kind of an example of some of the discussions that I was having on this repo. So like, for example, this code needed to be changed. Instead of assigning it to one variable, we needed to assign it to a different variable. So I just pointed that out in this pull request. And eventually she changed all of the code to address some of the comments in this pull request. And then I accepted the changes and pulled them in. We will hopefully get to pull requests next time that I see you for the next DevOps week. So if you're really interested in that, we'll definitely talk more about it. Okay. Other questions? And then after if you decide that you want to clone down someone's repo, this switcher up here is how you'll get back to working on your portfolio. So I can switch between looking at Max's code and looking at mine by just using this picker up here. I know we took our break earlier. Does anybody mind if we just take a quick 10-minute break just to get up and stretch and do all that?
Fine with me.
Okay.
All right,
So 7:30.
Okay.
I'll make sure I mute myself.
And I'll make sure I stop recording. Thank you. Or pause. All right. So let me go back to share my screen. We're gonna cover a couple other Git concepts, and then we might talk a little bit about behind the scenes, some of what Git's doing. But I'm thinking like, we're gonna save deploys for tomorrow instead of trying to squeeze those in here at the end. So I've already had this slide up, but I just want to try to drill the point home that bad things happen. It's really important to be committing and pushing with Git as a means of having a backup. So let's talk about some non-major incidents. So some minor incidents like what happened last cohort where folks just had files get deleted. I'm trying to remember exactly how things got deleted. I think somebody was just heavy-handed on moving files around, hitting the delete button. But one student in particular last cohort got into some trouble because they were doing file shuffling and lossing files. So I want to talk about how we could recover from that using Git, because of course we're using Git to track all of our changes. Therefore, we really shouldn't have anything ever get lost. But there's really two kinds of situations that you could find yourself in, where you've deleted files, but you haven't committed yet, or you've deleted some files and then you committed. So these two kinds of situations that you can run into, and I'm going to do the driving and I'm going to set up the scenario. So feel free to just sit back and relax and watch. Hopefully you don't have to deal with this, but just in case, I'm putting this information out there. So, all right, so let's talk about recovering files when you haven't committed, meaning that let's pull open GitHub Desktop, get this off my screen. All right, so we're sitting on my portfolio website. So let's go into Finder, and let's just delete everything. Move it to trash. Okay. So notice that GitHub Desktop is freaking out. It's got a whole bunch of red minuses because it thinks that you're trying to untrack or delete a bunch of things. So if you're at this point and you haven't committed, great. This is really easy to get out of. So to undo these changes, you just right-click, discard changes, right-click, discard changes. And notice if we pull open the Finder window, notice that one by one, and I'll keep this over here. Notice that one by one, we're getting files back. So discard changes. There pops the README. Right click, discard changes. There we go. Okay, so now all my files are back. Okay. Now say that we did the same thing. Moving forward to the slides, say that we did the same thing. We deleted all of our files, but then we committed the deletion, meaning we pushed up to GitHub and deleted those files. So going back to GitHub Desktop, oops, get rid of that. GitHub Desktop, I'm going to open my Finder window again, and I'm going to delete all these files. And this time, I'm going to go down here, create a commit, and can somebody give me a good commit message for what I'm doing?
Oops.
Oops, yeah. Oops, I did a bad thing. Okay, commit, push. All right. So if we go and view on GitHub, what's happening on the GitHub side, you'll see that our repo is empty. We have nothing in here. But if we go back to the commits, click here, you'll see we still have all of our history. We still have every change that we've made up until this point. So really all we need to do is back up to this last commit because the code is still there, and we'll get our files back. So to do that, we would go into GitHub Desktop, and people were already discovering this, but over here on the History tab, click on History. Find the commit where you did the bad thing, right-click it, click Revert Changes and Commit. If we go back to the Changes tab and hit Push Origin, then we go back to our GitHub, you'll see all our files are back. There's this revert commit that gets automatically created and brings all the files back. So open up Finder, you can see files are back on our hard drive again. Questions? Thoughts? Hopefully nobody has to encounter this situation, but if something bad does happen, you'll be really thankful that you've been committing and pushing to GitHub.
When you did revert from GitHub Desktop, did it grab the files from GitHub, or did it have them like in memory of its commit history on GitHub Desktop?
Good question. It actually did it all locally. So, you know, if you think of Git as two trees, which is the analogy that's used. Someone's having a smoothie. If you think of Git as two separate trees, GitHub and then your local copy of Git, they're kept in sync. So when you do operations with GitHub Desktop, you're doing them all locally until you hit the push button. When you do the push button, you're syncing the two trees and aligning them together. So that revert commit was all created locally. It didn't talk to GitHub at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, does it matter how long you wait? And can you go back to any previous commit? Like if you had done that and then you went off and did other stuff and then you went back, would it be the same process or do you have to do different steps? And then I'm just curious if you can go back to any previous time.
Yeah, you can go back. It Git is super powerful. And part of the advanced things that you can do with Git, you're not going to be able to do with GitHub Desktop. You're going to be able to do some of those things using what I showed before, which was the Git program in the terminal. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to cover this in the next DevOps module, but there is a command line Git that is super powerful, way more powerful than GitHub Desktop. And you can do all sorts of stuff. You can go back in time, you can go forward in time, you can pull snippets from different points in time. You can do all sorts of stuff. As far as GitHub Desktop, if let's say you wanted to go back to, like say we wanted to go back in time to this commit where we were shuffling the hello world message around. Honestly, it would probably be easier to just copy and paste whatever the change was and then create a new commit on top. Versus trying to go back in time and trying to use the GitHub Desktop to undo commits until you get back to that point. But great question. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, so then the last option that you have is the going nuclear. Everything is awful and you just need, sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so the going nuclear, everything is awful. Let's just pretend like you've screwed things up royally in GitHub Desktop. And by that, I mean, let's go to here. Let's say that you've done something like you've hit the revert changes button. You've also changed some code. Let's open up VS Code. Open Visual Studio Code. Oh, great. The editor could not be opened because the file was not found. Yeah, so let's just assume everything is awful and your Git repo is totally messed up and you have no idea what to do. Of course, you could ask for help, but there's always a nuclear option for getting out of a situation where Git is just super screwed up and you don't know what to do with your GitHub Desktop. So the nuclear option is to go and make sure that you have a backup of your code somewhere. And the first thing I would recommend is to go to, so ensure you have a backup of your code somewhere. And the first place I would look is I would go to the GitHub website and look to see what your latest push was and make sure that you have some kind of recent code up here that you can dig up. So going back into the commits and looking at all of the changes that you've made, you can click on the different commits to see the code that was uploaded. This commit got rid of some stuff. But making sure that you have a backup somewhere, even if that's just github.com. Did I freeze?
No. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry, my computer's being screwy. Restart.
But we can still hear you.
Okay, good. That's all that matters.
I can see you. You're back.
Okay, great. So if things just get super out of hand, make sure that you have a backup somewhere. So either go to GitHub and So here's one of the commits I can click on, and I can hit browse files on this commit to check out the code at this point in time. So see, I've switched to this funky number here. So this is this commit at this point in time. And I can click on index.html. So I could take this and I could copy it and I could save it in my notes somewhere. So if I wanted to open a text editor and save my code from my index.html and make sure I haven't lost it, I can put that somewhere on my computer or just have it on GitHub. Once you've made sure that you have a backup of your code somewhere, then it's safe to delete the repo on your machine and reclone. That is the nuclear option, is making sure you have the code saved somewhere and you're not going to lose it, and then deleting and recreating the repo on your machine. And to do that with GitHub Desktop, it's pretty easy. Just open up GitHub Desktop, come up here, right click on the repo. You can hit remove, and it's going to ask you if you want to also move the repo into the trash. Now, if I click this, I'm just getting rid of the repo on my machine. I'm not deleting it on github.com. What's on github.com is always going to be there, unless you go into github.com and into the danger zone and hit the delete this repository, which you shouldn't do unless you know what you're doing. But here on this menu, all I'm doing is I'm deleting it from my computer. So if I hit remove, go back here, you'll see I still have my GitHub repo code still there. So now I can go back into GitHub Desktop and I can click the add button again, clone repository. I can find my repo, click clone. Okay. And then if I click show in Finder here, a second. Yep, there we go. So I've got all of my files back.
So GitHub Desktop works off of github.com?
Exactly. Yep. You're keeping the two of those things in sync. Yes.
Okay, but whenever you're pushing and committing, you do that from GitHub Desktop? Does it matter?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, later on, we'll talk about pulling from GitHub to your GitHub Desktop. When other people are working with you and making changes, the flow flips and you pull in other people's work. If you have other teammates, that sort of thing. For now, all we're doing though is we're pushing. It's one direction. We're pushing to GitHub, but exactly like you described, GitHub Desktop to github.com is the flow right now. Okay.
I mean,
hopefully nobody. Sorry, go ahead. Hopefully nobody needs this nuclear option, but it's always there. And in case you're not feeling comfortable, feel free to ping me, feel free to ping Max, Latonia, anybody, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through it. It's kind of scary to do. But if you follow these instructions, you really can't go wrong. Plus, if you ensure you have a backup somewhere on your computer, you can't really go wrong. So, all right. And then I just wanted to throw this out there because we're working with more folders, and I've already started to notice some people are trying to get organized and nest things within other folders. As we go on, and especially when we get to the second DevOps module, it's going to be really important how we lay out our files on our computer. So I just wanted to throw out a couple tips here about how to structure things on your hard drive, where to put your code. When you're cloning and creating repos, try not to put a repo inside of another repo. Git will become extremely confused, and you will have a really hard time. So try to keep your repos next to each other. So if you've got a workspaces folder, or you have a GitHub folder, or your documents, or wherever you're putting your code, try to keep all of your repos in that one folder. You can get fancy and you can create a bunch of folders and a bunch of nested folders to try to what's the word, to try, I don't know the reasoning behind it necessarily, I guess to organize, but by all means feel free to do that, but it's just going to make things harder later on. So try to keep things simple, try to just have one folder where you put all of your things in it, and above all, don't put a repo inside of another repo. And if you already have some code that you want to make sure you don't lose, create a repo on GitHub and push it up. Better to have it at GitHub than to just have it floating around on your hard drive and possibly run the risk of losing it. And it's always good practice to create repos. All the instructions are here in the slides, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions if folks want to create more repos, because eventually we're going to need to create another repo for our capstone project as well.
Hey,
All
Nate.
right.
Oh, go ahead, Doug.
I was going to ask if Nate, if you could show again, creating a repo on GitHub from, because the way we did it, we created it on GitHub, dragged our files over there, and then cloned it down to locally. If you're working locally and you say, okay, I want to make a GitHub repo of this, would you do it that way each time? Or can you say like, okay, make this a repo and push it all up, or define a repo? How would you do it?
Yeah, the latter, once you start to become more comfortable with Git, the latter, creating it all on your computer and then pushing it up is totally viable. For right now, it's just easier to create it on GitHub and then clone it down. So let me show that process really quick.
Okay.
So, and for folks that want to follow along and already have a name picked out for their capstone, this could be an opportunity for you to create the repo for your capstone. But by all means, feel free to just sit back and watch if you want. Okay, so creating a repo and cloning it down. We'll go up here to the plus, hit new repository. Somebody give me a name for a repo, please.
Globe spec.
Sorry?
Cohort 3.
Oh no.
Cohort 3. Okay. Description, this is cohort 3. We don't want to forget to check this box, the add a readme file. It's the most important thing. All right, create repository. It's empty except for it has this file here. Okay, so let's get this and put it on our computer. So we'll go to GitHub Desktop, our repo selector up here at the top left. We're going to add it. So we'll clone a repository. We're going to look through our repositories. So it was deluxe cohort. Oh, let me refresh so it picks it up. There it is. Cohort 3. And I'm going to click clone. Notice how it's just picked this folder for me on my computer. So it's shoving everything into document/GitHub /cohort-3. That's what I was rambling about in terms of trying to keep everything in one place. So letting GitHub Desktop shove it all into this one folder, that's going to be great for you in the long term. If you alternatively, you could put it somewhere else. Just try to be consistent. That's the message. Okay, clone. So now we've got cohort 3 down here. Give it a second. It's thinking. Okay. And now we can open in VS Code. And here's our README. I'm just going to change the README to say, hello, hello world. Save, come back to GitHub desktop. It's detected the change here. We'll make the commit, added a hello world message. Commit, push. We can come back over here to look at the GitHub side, refresh. There's our message. Everybody with me? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you go through that one more time? I fell behind a little bit.
How far back do you want me to go? Creating a repo or making changes?
I just created it.
Okay. So you've created it. Now we can go back into GitHub desktop. And then up here, we need to add it. We only need to do this one time. After that, GitHub desktop will we'll have it saved. But up here in the top left, you click the add button, hit the clone repository. And then if you just freshly created it, make sure you hit this refresh button here, otherwise it won't show up. But once you have it, let me grab another one of my repos. Oops. So let me grab this one. Okay, and then you just click clone. It's going to bring and pull it into GitHub desktop. So now the code is pulled down onto your Mac, and you should be able to click open in Visual Studio Code and edit the code, or hit show in Finder to do that. All good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Good.
If when you cloned your repo, say you cloned it to somewhere you said, oh, I didn't mean to put it there, can you move it?
This is again where the GitHub desktop is not great.
All right.
No, not really.
Okay.
But,
So just
put it
in
in
the right place.
Yeah, put it in the right place. That's find one folder where you're going to store all the stuff and always just throw in that folder. But to move it, it's really easy. Just make sure that where it currently is, you've pushed everything up to github.com, and github.com looks good. All your code's up there. And then right click it in GitHub desktop, remove it, and then just clone it again into whatever location you want it to live. The idea being that, github.com is a source of truth. It's where all of your code lives, and you can kind of move things around. Your repos are kind of malleable on your computer. Okay. So,
Hey, Nate.
Yes.
I apologize. There's a big delay for me with you, but just to clarify, when you're saying to save it into a folder, like you can literally just use your documents folder that comes on your computer to store all of your repos, or do you mean for them to make a folder, put that somewhere, and then make sure they always go there? Like, what's the better practice so they have a clear idea of that flow?
Yeah, good question. I would just go with what GitHub Desktop suggests. Like when I cloned using GitHub Desktop, it suggested users Nathan Evans /documents/GitHub. So GitHub Desktop made a folder for all of the repos that I was going to clone. I would just stick with whatever it picked. If you want to get fancy and you want to make, like, I know people like to put their stuff on the desktop, or people like to put their stuff in other places. If you do that, that's fine. Just make sure that you're always putting your code in there and being consistent with it. But my recommendation is just let GitHub desktop pick. Okay. Looks like I'm lagging again. Let me restart that. I just have a couple more things I want to talk about, and then I'm going to let you guys go. And then tomorrow we'll start working on deploys, which should be a whole lot of fun because we actually get to push our code to the internet. So a couple behind the scenes things that I want to drill in. You guys were asking for me to clarify on some of the terminology, and I've just sort of been throwing the words around, and we've kind of been getting the hang of it as we go. But just to reiterate, a repo is the same thing as a repository. We just say repo because we like abbreviations and shortening things. But more specifically, a repo is a special folder on your computer. It's special because it's getting tracked by Git. That folder is being watched. So any of the changes that you make are being monitored, and then you're producing commits and all that stuff on top of it. So a repo is a special folder on your computer. It's getting tracked. And then it's also a special place on GitHub. We've gone and looked at these repos. We've created some of our own. We've seen other people's repos. So a repo is kind of both of these concepts together. It's a special place on your computer. It's a special place on github.com. And they're both kept in sync by doing commits and pushes. We'll get into this a little bit more later, but the whole strategy here is that we keep our repos on GitHub, and then many people can work on the same project together by pulling it down on their machine. So everyone can have their own copy of that repo by cloning it down. A pitfall that I've seen some folks fall into is not working in that special folder. So make sure that once you've moved your portfolio code into this repo, that you're only working inside of that folder. Otherwise, if you're making changes to your old portfolio code folder, it's not going to get tracked by Git, and you're going to be missing out on all of that. So best practice, keep GitHub Desktop up, and use GitHub Desktop to open VS Code, use GitHub Desktop to open Finder, so you know that you're in the right place.
When there's multiple people working on code, will it recognize that you are the person that made the changes, or will you have to like initial when you're writing a quick note about the changes?
Good question. So if you recall back in SourceTree, when it was asking you about, when you were setting up SourceTree, it was asking you what your name was and what the email address you wanted to use was. So that's how Git can tell who wrote code. Every time you make a commit, you sign it with your username and your email. So no, you won't need to add your initials to the commit message. Git will do that automatically for you.
Awesome.
Great question. And there's even some security called signed commits, where you can use a cryptographic signature to prove that you're the only person that wrote that code. It's really fancy stuff that we could get into for office hours if anyone's interested. And then commits, we've kind of been treating these as a black box, but think of commits as being these changes that you're making to code. So they're snapshots in time. When you change code, you're producing these commits, and then they're getting pushed up to GitHub. So think of commits as a bunch of small atomic units that you're creating as you work on your code. You're creating frequently and pushing up to GitHub using push. And then just to kind of drive home the commit analogy, commits are a whole lot like Google Doc revisions. If you guys have seen Google Doc revisions, where you're able to see who changed what they exactly changed. But I feel like we've already kind of examined commits by looking at it in GitHub Desktop. And again, commit and push from your computer up to github.com. Okay. And then the terminology, I've put this in the outline. We've already kind of talked about this ad nauseum, but that is it. And then tomorrow we're gonna start working on deploys. So we're actually gonna get our code up on the internet, and Yeah. Questions?
If changes are made across the board, so your index file, your CSS file and what have you, do you have to upload all of each one, or will it take any changes that you made within that folder at that time?
Everything in that folder at that time. Yeah, you can make changes to a bunch of files. You could delete files, you can add them, rename them. There's no limit to how much you can put in a commit.
Okay, but you only have to push the button one time and it'll
Only have to
cover
push it one
all
time.
of them. Okay, cool.
Yep. It'll grab everything and it'll package it into a commit. And then when you hit the push origin button, it'll take that bundle and it'll push it up to GitHub.
And when it shows the changes, it shows the changes for each file separately. You know,
Yes, so that
okay.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, exactly. So the commit will contain all of those changes. Latonia was driving at this point earlier with her question. You know, later on we'll talk. We can talk about how best to package your commits, because you have control over what you put into a commit. You know, the changes that you make, what you do. So there are some strategies just to make things easier for people to see. But for right now, do what makes sense to you. You know, if it makes sense to every time you take a break to commit and push, do it. It's at this point, don't sweat it too much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Great question. I just want to put a feeler out there. Is anybody feeling like they don't get this at all and they're just completely lost? Okay. Well, if something's just not clicking with Git, feel free to reach out and I'll do my best. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to try to give you guys back some time tonight and leave deploys for tomorrow.
No, thank you for giving this time.
You're very welcome. Thank you all for the great questions, and thank you all for playing the secret fruits commit game.
That's
you
what
all
I
did great.
How to use Python to do that.
Oh, come to office hours. Nothing's off limit. I'll teach you how to write Python. I'll teach you how to write Go, whatever.
I'm interested in Python.
Cool. I'd love to.
That was Python that you did that with?
Yeah. Yeah. I had so much fun doing that earlier. Thank you guys for humoring me and letting me play my game during class today.
All right. Thanks, Nate.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good night,
guys.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Well, Tonya, you saved me again when I completely forgot to resume the
What?
recording. But
We
you
are
saved me.
recording, aren't we?
Yep, we are.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Like what?